the nuances. I don't get all the nuances of the each day's lesson built one upon the other. So when I come in and I'm reading this material and I'm going, okay, we're talking about vulnerability this month. Oh, good. And that's got power. When I feel vulnerable, I'm not thinking I have any power. That's just my take. So it's been interesting to see how this is all going to unfold. And then the talk for today is letting go and letting in. Letting go, I can get. There's a lot of stuff that I should let go of. All those shoulds, for example. But letting in, I'm not 100% sure on that. And it wasn't cleared up for me when I read the material. Just saying.
Oh, you noticed that.
Can I interrupt you just for just 1 second?
You
It's
can.
not coming across yet for some reason. Try that.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
much better.
Wasn't up all the way.
It wasn't all the way on.
Right.
We all have days when we're just not all the way on, right? Just saying. Okay. Okay. The material says we're going to talk about vulnerability on an individual level. Okay. I don't understand, but I'll see if we can make some sense out of it. There's going to be something in here for you. I don't know where. I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't even know how. So the interesting piece here is they gave us 3 points. One of them is knowing, one is allowing, and third one is on page 3, opening. Knowing, allowing, and opening. And then they talked about the wheel of life, and wholeness. Vulnerability, knowing, allowing, opening, the wheel of life, and wholeness. Okay. I thought about bringing a wheel of life for everybody, but I couldn't figure out how to do that for the guys online. So I want you to use your imagination and draw a big circle.
Right.
And divide that circle in half, and then in quarters, and then in eighths. And in the circle of life, if you go and Google it, you'll find that there are several. Some of them are in eighths, some of them are in twelfths. But each pie slice has a category. So they might be something like friends, health, career, love, spirituality, family, money, fun, relationships, personal growth, attitude. That's more than 8, I know. The idea behind that is you'll take each one of those categories and assess where you are in that category at this moment. So you might say, oh, friends. I don't have very many friends. Oh my gosh. Yes, you do. Look at all the friends right here in this room. Hi, Gail. And you think, oh, well, that's good. That's friends. What about health? Where am I on the health scale in my pie? Is my health piece all the way full so that I'm really healthy? Or am I feeling like my health slice of the pie is only half a slice? And it's looking for balance. Getting where we get vulnerability in the pie, I am not sure where that goes. Except that I suspect if your slice is very low, you don't have very much health, or you don't have very many friends, or your career stinks. I know that wasn't the word I was going to say. You caught me. If your career stinks, then you might be thinking, well, I'm a little bit more vulnerable in those areas. I believe what they're trying to get at here at this point is to know where you are, to know yourself, to know what it is that makes you vulnerable. Lack of money, perhaps, could be a vulnerability for some of us. Feelings of not being enough could have us feel like we're more vulnerable than others. That's pie is the whole thing in all of those categories, however many you choose. And the idea is once you know, and they're not all going to be all the way full all the time because life happens. And we get to live with where we are and work with where we are and work on where we are. And once we get all of our financial ducks in a row, or all our health ducks in a row, and all of our other ducks, whatever they are, in a row, we can move from one category to another based on where they are in our priority list today. If we're sick, I'm going to guess that health is going to be a number one priority. If we have no money coming in, I'm going to guess that financial might be a high priority. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't understand how it works for everybody else. Only me. I can't figure out you guys. I can barely figure out me. Once we know where we are, once we have a clue about where we are, we allow ourselves, moving to the allow part here, allow ourselves to accept us as we are. I'm just saying I can't do it all. I'm not going to be good in everything. And when I got my hair cut this morning, I was talking to the woman who was cutting my hair, who is so science of mind without ever walking into church. And we were talking about all different kinds of things, and I was giving her a little bit of an example about what I was going to talk about and about knowing what I'm good at, where my strengths are. And I looked at her and I said, I couldn't cut my hair. Well, I could, but it would not look anywhere near as good as when she cuts it. And I'm not the best cook either. And I don't work on my own car. And it's okay to ask for help for those things that I am not so good at. But I have to know what it is that I need help for. When you were growing up, did you ever have the part about never being able to ask for help because your parents wanted you to be self-sufficient and good at doing whatever you're doing, taking care of yourself? So asking for help was not something that you were comfortable doing because your parents didn't like that. That was me. I thought I had to do it all. And I thought I had to do it all well until I couldn't. And then when I found out that there were things I was not good at, I had this idea that I was going to be a nurse. 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, I thought I was going to be a nurse. 8th grade, 9th grade, my friend said, let's go volunteer to be candy stripers at the hospital. Great thing to do. I volunteered. She and I, but we didn't get on the same ward, which probably, I don't know whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, but it was. And I found out at that age of 12, no, 9th grade, that would have been 13, that I don't like blood. If it's my blood, it's okay, because I'm in control of that. If it's your blood, not happy with that. That would be one of those things where that's not mine to do. I would need help with that. Now, if I cut my finger, no problem at all. It's not an issue. So then we need to be open to possibilities. When we're vulnerable, when we recognize that we are vulnerable, we're open to possibilities according to this material. I'm not always thinking that I'm vulnerable when I'm not thinking about possibilities when I'm feeling vulnerable. When I'm feeling vulnerable, many, many, many times, what I'm thinking about is what the heck I'm afraid of. Where's my focus? Not where it needs to be. It's on whatever it is I'm afraid of. I'm vulnerable. I am standing up here in front of this group of people, and you expect me to have a message. So I'm going to come across with some kind of a message. But I'm in a place of vulnerability here, of being able to say, okay, let me be open, Spirit, feed me, let me direct that. And it takes practice. Being in a vulnerable position takes practice. Have you ever tried to do something that you've not done before? Let's try snow skiing. You ever tried snow skiing? Do you remember the very first time you got on those snow skis? Just imagine, if you've never done it, just imagine. You got these long things on your feet, and you're at the top of some hill, maybe a big hill, maybe a little hill. And the only way to get off a hill is to go down. There's a feeling of vulnerability as you stand at the top of that hill. And the only way to do it is to go through it. Well, that's not true. You could probably take the skis off and then walk down the hill carrying those very long skis. Or you could fall down and get the ski patrol to carry you down the hill. You know, that's also a possibility. We aren't going to talk about those possibilities where you get injured. I mean, there are some of those, but we're not going to talk about those. But the normal, for most of us, the only way down the hill is to lean forward on those skis and let gravity take hold. Vulnerability. The only way to do it is to go through it. This information here says the willingness to be open and vulnerable with ourselves is an important step in living a life out loud. It calls on us to take a look at all the aspects of ourselves, all of them, and hold them in love and gentleness. And as we begin to make friends with ourselves, then we are empowered to let go of the things that no longer serve us and allow and open to our authentic self. That self that may look awful in terms of form, but does manage to get down the ski slope one way or the other. Now I want to talk a little bit about vulnerability from a different point of view. And I apologize, Jeff, if I take the thunder from somewhere later in the month.
It's all good.
Because you'll just have to reintroduce it. I want you to think back to the story in the Bible about Daniel in the lion's den. Okay? Briefly, Daniel was really good, doing great stuff, but he had some enemies in the king's camp, and they decided to get him. And they couldn't find him doing anything wrong, so they couldn't arrest him for that. So they had the law, the king, proclaim that you couldn't pray to anybody but the king. And of course, Daniel's praying to God 3 times a day. So they made this law for 30 days. You can't pray to anybody but the king. So they could catch him. And they did. And they took him and they put him, back to the king. And the king's trying to get out of it now. But no, it's the law. That he was going to be put in that's all he could do. Was put him in the lion's den. Now they had, these lions had not been fed in a while. They'd been starved so that they were particularly hungry. And they put Daniel in this lion's den. Remember the story? Okay. And what Daniel does is he doesn't even look at the lions at all. He turns his back on them and looks to the light and prays. That's vulnerability. And that's stepping into your greatness when you totally disregard what it is that you're vulnerable about. According to Neville Goddard, who wrote Your Faith is Your Fortune, this story was written for you to instruct you in the art of freeing yourself from any problem or vision or prison in the world. Most of us find ourselves in a lion's den, and we would be concerned with the lions. We would not be thinking of anything else. And yet we're told that Daniel turned his back on the lions and looked toward the light. If we could follow the example of Daniel, when we're threatened with any dire disaster, such as lions, I don't know where you're going to find lions here, or poverty, or sickness, if, like Daniel, we could remove our attention from whatever that is and put our attention on the light that is God, our solutions would be similarly simple. For example, if you're in prison, no man would need to tell you that what you should desire is freedom. You do. Freedom, or rather the desire to be free, is automatic. When we have an issue, the desire to be free is usually automatic. Not always. Because some people kind of like that prison that they're in. They'll tell you about it over and over and over again and continue on whining about it, but moaning about their prison. The same is true if you were sick or in debt or in any other predicament. Lions represent seemingly insoluble situations of a threatening nature. Every problem automatically produces its solution in the form of a desire to be free of the problem. Therefore, turn your back on your problem and focus on the truth. Turn your back on the problem and focus on the light. Focus on the God. Focus your attention on the desired solution by already feeling yourself to be that which you desire. Can you imagine Daniel standing in the lion's den, just turning himself over to God, going, it's all good. Whatever happens is going to be perfect. I'm not sure I would be able to do that in the same situation. But maybe. We've all seen people apparently hopelessly in debt. Well, maybe we haven't all seen people, but I have. Apply this principle, and in a very short time, the debts that seemed to be mountains were removed. And I've also seen people who the doctor said had no chance be cured of whatever it was. So look upon your desires as the spoken words of God, and every word of prophecy of that which you are capable of being. Don't question whether or not you're worthy to realize those desires. Accept them as they come to you. Give thanks for them as though they were already here, as though they were gifts that you just received, and feel happy and grateful for having received such a wonderful gift. Then go your way in peace. Such simple acceptance of your desires is like the dropping of a fertile seed into an ever prepared soul. When you drop your desire in consciousness as a seed, confident that it shall appear in its full-blown potential, you've done all that's expected of you. Here's the kicker. To be worried or concerned about the manner of their unfoldment is to hold these fertile seeds in a mental grasp and therefore prevent the reality from maturing to a full harvest. If we're worrying, it's not a good thing. Don't be anxious or concerned as to the results. Results will follow just as surely as day follows night and night follows day. Have faith in this planting until the evidence is manifest to you and that it is so. and your confidence in this procedure will pay great rewards. You wait but a little while in the consciousness of the thing desired, and then suddenly, usually when you least expect it, the thing itself comes into your expression. Life is no respecter of persons and destroys nothing. It continues to keep alive that which man is conscious of being. Things will disappear only as man changes his consciousness. Deny it, if you will, and it still remains a fact that consciousness is the only reality, and things just mirror that which you are conscious of being. The heavenly state you seek will be found in consciousness only when the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's there. Your consciousness is the only living reality, the eternal head of creation, and that which you are conscious of being is the temporal body you wear. You are free or not. This is an interesting point here. To turn your attention from that which you are being is to decapitate the body. Now we're talking the body of those past beliefs. But just as a chicken or a snake continues to jump and throb for a while after its head has been removed, likewise, qualities and conditions appear to live for a while after your attention has been taken from you. We're looking at God. The lions are over there. If we turn back from God back to the lions, where's our consciousness now? Our focus is back on the lions. Man, not knowing this law of consciousness, constantly gives thought to his, not always, but can give thought to his previous habitual conditions, and through being attentive to them, places those dead bodies back on the eternal head of creation, and thereby reanimates and re-resurrects them. So it's just like we put the chicken's head back on it, and all that old stuff is now running around in our life. We must leave these dead bodies alone and let the dead bury the dead. Once you have assumed the quality, the consciousness of the quality that is desired, and then give your attention to what you don't want any longer, that's like proclaiming your unfitness for the kingdom of heaven. So we go out here, we have this vision of what it is we want, but now we were going over here and looking at what we don't want. We need to stay focused on what we want, because the kingdom of heaven will recognize that. That kingdom within will recognize whatever we put our focus on, and if it's over here on what we don't want, we'll get that. As the will of heaven is ever done on earth, you today are in the heaven that you have established within yourself. Here we are. The kingdom of heaven really is at hand. And now is the time. So create a new heaven or enter a new state of consciousness, and a new earth will appear. Or, as they said in the song, we'll have rebirth. It's never too late to have a new beginning. It's never too late to have a new beginning. We need to look at the light. The light's there and 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 there. It's everywhere. Look at the light. Nothing can hurt us. Nothing can hurt us. Yes, we're better at some things than others. And yes, we sometimes feel vulnerable. But if we're standing in the light, if we're continually standing in the light, we are fine. We are just fine. So let me take this idea into prayer, if it sort of kind of came that way. I stop and take a breath Because when I breathe in, I know that I breathe in God. And when I breathe out, I know that I breathe out God, because God is all there is. That God is absolutely everywhere, in everything, through everything, as everything. And the power that is God is moving through me in this moment. It moves through me in every moment. But in this moment, I am even more aware of its moving through me. And I speak these words in first person because I am speaking to me. There's really only one of us here. So if it resonates with you, you can take these words as your own. The time has come for me to stand in my light, to be the divine person that I am here to be, to release, to let go all of those things which are limitations to who I am, to recognize those pieces that I am really good at, and to recognize those things that I need help with, and to continue to grow and learn and become the very best me that I can be. Today. Today is the day. Today is the day I'm standing in the light, because it's never, ever, ever too late to have a new beginning. And this moment, right here, right now, is a new beginning. And so I absolutely give thanks for this new beginning in this moment, right here and right now. And I release this prayer into the law that says yes to my word. And if you are in agreement with me, you can affirm it by saying, and so it is. It didn't follow the outline, sort of, kind of. But maybe there was something in it for you. Questions, comments, thoughts?